Before we begin, take a slow, deep breath and feel the present moment around you. Life often feels heavy, chaotic, and confusing, leaving us wondering if we are truly living or merely drifting. But what if a single question could shift your perception, illuminate what truly matters, and transform every choice, thought, and action? This is not a fleeting idea. It is a key to seeing life with clarity, presence, and purpose. By the end of this video, you will learn the question that awakens awareness, reveals hidden truths, aligns your mind with reality, and allows you to navigate life with focus, freedom, and wisdom. Prepare to see everything differently and step into a life lived fully, consciously, deliberately. Before we begin, take a deep breath and allow yourself to become fully present. Feel the weight of your body supported by the earth. Notice the subtle rhythm of your breath. Hear the quiet hum of life around you. This moment is the only place where transformation can occur. The first part of understanding this question, am I aligned with what is essential in this moment, requires a deep recognition that most human suffering arises not from life itself, but from our resistance to it. Most people live reacting, chasing goals, seeking validation, or trying to control outcomes. Each day is filled with distractions, attachments, and expectations that pull the mind away from what truly matters. When events unfold contrary to expectation, the mind reacts. Anger, frustration, disappointment, and confusion arise. These responses are automatic, habitual, and rooted in the illusion that life should conform to desire rather than flow naturally. To awaken to alignment, you must first observe without judgment. Observation is not passive, it is active awareness. It requires patience, clarity, discipline, and honesty with oneself. Observe your thoughts, emotions, and impulses as they arise. Distinguish between what is essential, the truth, presence, action that nourishes life, and what is superficial, reactive, or driven by ego. The question we focus on serves as a mirror, reflecting the mind's alignment or misalignment with the present moment. It asks you to pause, step back from habitual reaction, and consider, am I acting from clarity or from distraction? Am I focusing on what truly matters or clinging to illusion? Resistance is subtle. Often it appears as busyness, as worry, as striving for outcomes that promise security or recognition. Each of these is not inherently wrong, but when pursued unconsciously, they drain energy and create mental turbulence. The awakened mind begins by noticing these currents and tracing them back to their origin: attachment to outcome, habitual fear, or the ego's need for control. Through careful observation, you develop insight into how often life has been experienced unconsciously, how frequently energy has been wasted on the non-essential. Recognizing this is uncomfortable, but discomfort is necessary for transformation. Alignment does not mean passivity or resignation. It means clarity in perception and precision in action. When you ask yourself if you are aligned with what is essential, you invite awareness into every choice, thought, relationship, and action. It is a question that strips away illusion and exposes reality. You begin to notice subtle guidance from intuition, from the body, from patterns of life that you once ignored. You become capable of responding rather than reacting, choosing rather than being driven, observing rather than being consumed. This practice is not a one-time exercise. It requires patience, consistency, and commitment. Asking this question in small moments, during conversation, during decision-making, during reflection, trains the mind to see clearly. Training the mind to see clearly gradually transforms perception of life itself. You begin to understand that suffering arises less from external events and more from misalignment between awareness and reality. You realize that control is an illusion, and power comes from clarity, discernment, and conscious choice. Through repeated reflection and mindful inquiry, you cultivate the foundation for mental precision, strategic insight, and emotional resilience. Ultimately, part 1 of this teaching emphasizes that the journey toward alignment begins with observation, awareness, detachment, and questioning. It is the act of noticing the mind's distractions, resistance, attachments, or illusions, then asking the question that reveals what is truly essential. This is the first step in transforming perception, liberating consciousness, and preparing the mind to navigate life with clarity, presence, wisdom, and freedom from unnecessary suffering. Am I aligned with what is essential in this moment? Is about observing life with clarity. Once you begin to ask this question consciously, you start to notice patterns that were previously invisible. Each moment becomes an opportunity to discern what truly matters and what distracts, drains, or misleads your energy. Most people move through life unconsciously, reacting to external stimuli, habitual thoughts, or social pressures. They become entangled in obligations, opinions, or desires that are not aligned with their true path. Through consistent inquiry, you cultivate the ability to see through the noise, identify the essential, and act with awareness rather than habit. Observing life with clarity requires detachment and presence. When you notice a thought, emotion, or external event, do not immediately label it as good or bad, desirable or undesirable. Instead, observe it as data, as information that reveals patterns about your mind, others, or circumstances. This neutral observation allows insight to arise organically. Through this process, you learn to distinguish between what nourishes your mind, body, and spirit, and what consumes your attention without benefit. Relationships, opinions, activities, and obligations all reveal themselves as either aligned with your essence or misaligned when observed through the lens of this question. Life provides constant opportunities to practice this discernment. Every encounter, interaction, or choice offers insight into alignment. If a task drains energy without purpose, notice it. If a relationship diminishes presence or awareness, observe it. If a thought perpetuates fear, regret, or obsession, recognize it. By consistently asking whether these experiences are essential, you train the mind to recognize subtle cues that were previously overlooked. Over time, clarity becomes habitual, insight becomes intuitive, and distraction loses its grip. This clarity also transforms decision-making and prioritization. When you understand what is essential, you learn to allocate time, energy, focus, and attention effectively. Nothing is wasted, nothing is incidental. Every action is informed by awareness, not impulse. Nothing feels burdensome because you have identified its place in the larger scheme of your life. When distractions arise, you observe them without judgment and return to the essential, maintaining calm and focus. Through this practice, you conserve energy for growth, learning, creativity, and action that truly matters. Observing life with clarity also deepens emotional intelligence. By noticing your reactions without attachment, you begin to understand the sources of fear, desire, and frustration. You notice how external circumstances trigger habitual patterns and learn to respond with calm discernment and presence rather than reactivity. Emotional turbulence diminishes as awareness increases, and you gain the capacity to navigate relationships, conflicts, or challenges with intelligence and balance. Finally, clarity reveals the interconnectedness of life. When distractions fade, essentials become apparent. Your choices, actions, thoughts, and energy reveal the underlying currents of your life path. Through consistent practice, you align not only with the present moment, but also with your broader purpose, creating coherence between mind, body, spirit, and action. Observation transforms into wisdom, awareness into strategy, insight into presence, allowing life to unfold with precision, meaning, and freedom from unnecessary confusion or suffering. In essence, Part 2 teaches that life becomes transparent to those who consistently question alignment. This practice reveals truth hidden beneath habitual reaction, external expectation, or superficial engagement. It trains the mind to see deeply, act deliberately, and navigate life with clarity, discernment, and conscious intelligence, laying the foundation for decisive, purposeful action that flows naturally from awareness. The third part of this teaching, acting from alignment, is where awareness transforms into power. Observation alone, though crucial, cannot change the trajectory of your life. Recognizing what is essential without acting on it leaves insight dormant. A deadly smart mind understands that alignment is not simply a mental state, it is a mode of being that requires deliberate, conscious action. When you are aligned with what is essential, you act from clarity rather than impulse, habit, or external pressure. Your decisions, words, and movements reflect insight, discernment, and the wisdom gained from mindful observation. Acting from alignment begins with intentionality. So every choice, large or small, becomes an opportunity to reinforce awareness and integrity. Consider your actions in relation to your goals, values, and what genuinely nourishes your mind, body, and spirit. Do not allow yourself to be swept by emotion, ego, or societal expectation. A deliberate act stems from understanding the situation fully, weighing consequences, and responding strategically. This is the difference between reactive living and conscious living, between drifting through circumstance and shaping it with awareness. Another crucial aspect is consistency. Alignment is reinforced through repeated intentional action. Each moment you choose to act from what is essential, you strengthen your presence, clarity, discipline, and mental resilience. When alignment becomes habitual, you are no longer easily distracted by trivialities, noise, or the judgments of others. Your focus remains on what matters, allowing energy to flow efficiently toward meaningful outcomes. Consistency in action builds credibility, fortitude, and self-trust, which are essential for navigating complex life challenges. Acting from alignment also requires courage. Often, the essential path is not the easiest. It may involve difficult conversations, letting go of relationships, abandoning habitual comforts, or facing uncomfortable truths. Those who act without alignment are often motivated by fear, desire, or convenience. Those who act from clarity, however, accept responsibility for their choices, face consequences openly, and prioritize integrity over immediate gratification. Through courage, actions carry weight and purpose, impacting both your life and the lives of others with precision and authenticity. Mindfulness amplifies action. When you act with full awareness, each movement, word, or decision is imbued with intention. Impulsiveness fades, reaction diminishes, conflict is minimized, and influence is maximized. Through mindfulness, you learn when to speak and when to remain silent, when to engage and when to withdraw, when to act and when to observe further. Your alignment becomes a compass, guiding each interaction, choice, and moment of your life. Acting from alignment also refines relationships and influence. People sense clarity and integrity. They respond to presence and precision. Those who consistently act from alignment attract trust, respect, and cooperation. Those who act unconsciously or reactively invite misunderstanding, conflict, or manipulation. By choosing essential action, you shape not only your internal state, but the external reality around you, creating conditions that support growth, clarity, and purpose. Ultimately, Part 3 emphasizes that alignment without action is incomplete. Action is the bridge between insight and transformation. Through deliberate, consistent, courageous, mindful, and essential action, you bring clarity into reality. You live intentionally rather than reacting habitually. You become a force capable of navigating challenges, seizing opportunities, protecting energy, and fostering growth, not by controlling life, but by moving with precision, awareness, and alignment in every moment. This is how awareness transforms into power, perception into strategy, and understanding into a life lived fully, deliberately, and wisely. The fourth part of this teaching, integrating the question into life, is where transformation becomes enduring. Awareness and action are powerful, but without integration, insight remains temporary, like a flash of light that fades quickly. The question, am I aligned with what is essential in this moment, is not a single exercise. It is a continuous practice, a lens through which every thought, emotion, action, and circumstance can be examined. By returning to this question repeatedly, you cultivate a mindset that naturally filters distractions, clarifies priorities, and strengthens presence. Through integration, this practice becomes habitual, shaping your consciousness, behavior, relationships, and perception of life itself. Integration begins with daily discipline. When each day presents countless moments to pause, reflect, observe, and inquire, am I aligned with what is essential? When faced with decisions, observe your intentions and the potential outcomes through this lens. When interacting with others, consider whether your words and actions honor clarity and purpose. When confronting challenges, ask if your response serves alignment rather than reaction. Through repeated attention, asking this question becomes automatic, like breathing. It becomes a mental compass, guiding your choices, energy, attention, and focus, allowing you to navigate life with precision and purpose. Another essential element of integration is self-reflection. At the end of each day, review your actions, words, thoughts, and emotions in light of alignment. Which moments reinforce presence, clarity, or essential action? Which moments revealed distraction, attachment, or reactive behavior? Reflection is not for judgment, but for understanding, refinement, and growth. By consistently examining your patterns, you cultivate insight into recurring habits, mental tendencies, or emotional triggers that disrupt alignment. Through this reflective practice, you deepen awareness and refine the ability to act from clarity, ensuring that each day contributes to mastery rather than repetition of unconscious patterns. Integration also requires inflexibility and adaptability. Life is dynamic, unpredictable, complex. Essential priorities shift as circumstances evolve. The practice is not rigid, it is responsive. You learn to distinguish between transient distractions and genuine essentials. You adjust decisions, actions, or focus without losing presence or integrity. Through this balance of consistency and adaptability, you develop resilience, strategic insight, emotional stability, and the ability to navigate uncertainty with confidence and calm. Relationships, work, goals, habits, thoughts, all areas of life are transformed through integration. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to practice alignment, each challenge a chance to reinforce clarity. Over time, you naturally release distractions, attachments, or illusions that previously consumed energy and attention. Your interactions, decisions, priorities, and inner state begin to reflect coherence, clarity, discernment, and wisdom. Through integration, the mind becomes a reliable guide, rather than a reactive force swept by circumstance, habit, or desire. Ultimately, this practice cultivates freedom and mastery. By continually returning to the question, awareness becomes habitual, clarity becomes instinctive, actions become precise, and life unfolds with purpose and intention. Integration transforms perception of reality itself. You no longer chase illusion, react unconsciously, or waste energy on trivialities. Your mind, body, spirit, relationships, and actions align with what is essential, creating harmony, strength, focus, freedom, and intelligence. Through integration, life itself becomes a teacher, a mirror, a guide, allowing you to move deliberately, respond thoughtfully, and exist fully in alignment with the truth of each moment. In essence, Part 4 teaches that transformation is not complete until awareness, action, reflection, adaptability, and discipline are woven into the fabric of everyday life. Through consistent integration of this question, you cultivate clarity, purpose, freedom, emotional resilience, strategic insight, and the capacity to experience life deeply, wisely, and fully in every moment.